Hello students, this is Ms. Barr with another simple bookkeeping and accounting nugget. Number 8, purchases and purchases returns. Here are our objectives. Please make sure you have a pen and a piece of paper, or you can use your device. Now, the Purchases Daybook is also known as the Purchases Journal. This is the daybook where all credit purchases are recorded. Now, did you know that credit purchases transactions create creditors? Creditors are people that our business owes because we receive stock on credit and we agree to pay for these goods later. Now, students, what's another name for a creditor? You guessed it, that's correct, a supplier. Each credit purchase is recorded in a source document known as a purchases invoice that we receive from our suppliers. We take these purchases invoices and we enter them in date order in the Purchases Daybook, or we refer to it as the Purchases Journal. Now remember, no cash purchases are entered in the Purchases Daybook. We may decide to return goods to our creditors for the following reasons. The goods are damaged, they're incorrect, or we receive too much of the same product. When this happens, this is called purchases returns. Purchases returns is stock that was returned by a business to their suppliers. Now, let's make sure you're paying attention. What's another name for purchases returns? Awesome job, students. Purchases returns is also known as returns outwards. A debit note is a document sent to a supplier showing the details of a claim for an allowance for unsatisfactory goods. We would organize all of our individual debit notes in the Purchases Returns Daybook, or we call it the Purchases Returns Journal. Now remember, students, it's just as simple as that.
Morning, everybody. Welcome to Mathematics, grade 11 Mathematics with Miss LaShanta Knowles. Jessica, good morning in the chat. Morning, Aaliyah. All right, so while you're saying good morning to me, guys, I'm going to go ahead and pull up the warm-up, and I'm going to just chat with you while you're doing the warm-up. Morning, Tina. All right, so our warm-up is up. While you were working on the warm-up, let's, I do a lot of housekeeping at the beginning. Please be reminded, guys, that this lesson is recorded, so you are expected to be on your best behavior. No inappropriate or disrespectful comments will be accepted or tolerated. How do we do things in here? I ask a question, you respond to me in the chat, okay? Do not respond to me in the Q&A because I don't really check the Q&A. If you have a question about what I'm asking, then feel free to go in the question and answer. Somebody's going to answer you. When I say somebody, a teacher's going to answer you. We have, I think, 4 persons in here working together as a team. We have Mistress Mackley, Miss Newbold, Mr. Hall, and I think I see Miss Penn. All right. So when you ask a question, one of those persons will answer you. Please feel free to participate in the lesson. This is a safe space, guys. When I say a safe space, when you send a chat, myself or the other teachers will see your response and will see your message. Okay. So it's not as if it's going to other people. It only comes to us. I'm going to give you about another minute to work on the warm-up question. It says, find the marked sides on each of the triangles below, round to the nearest 10. What happened if you're just joining us? You need to go to the website where you logged into this session, and you need to check on Tuesday's lesson. If you don't want to pull up the entire lesson, because I was told that it takes a long time to pull up, to download, please feel free to go ahead, guys, and just pull up the PowerPoint. The PowerPoint is pretty straightforward, and you can see everything in there, okay? I am going to do a review because I recognize that I don't know if I feel like the concept was cemented for some persons, not all of you. So I am going to briefly go over this concept today. All right, so that's the answer for the first question, rounded to 1 decimal place, and that came up accidentally because I'm trying to get the chat up. Good afternoon, good afternoon. I agree, Mr. Hall, I agree. All right, so I accidentally put up the answer for the first question, but that's fine. I'm not gonna go in depth into how we got that answer. I'm just gonna quickly review it because I have an in-depth revision in this lesson. Okay, just by raise a hand, me, yes, no. Please come and tell me in the chat if you got x equals 5.8 centimeters. Just say I did, or yes, I did, or I didn't, please. All right, very good, Arlington. Very good, Tarina. Very good, Ashante. Oh, Ashante said no. Very good, Cecil or Cecil. The rest of you. Guys, I like for you to have a conversation with me because it gets me to know how to pace the lesson. So if you don't understand something, I need you to say, Ms. Knowles, I don't quite get that. Could you slow down? Could you repeat that? I got it right, Ms. Knowles. So that helps me to know whether I'm moving too quickly or if I'm moving too slow or if I need to explain something differently to you. All right. We're not doing the inverse. We're doing the inverse in this lesson. This is this week's lesson. All right, good. Okay, so quickly, like I said, because I have this in the lesson, I'm just going to go over the trig ratio. All right, so we did trigonometric ratios. So we recognize that we're finding a side and we give it an angle. So we know we're using trigonometric ratios. I'm going to label my triangle. That's the hypotenuse, that's the opposite side, that's the adjacent. So if you didn't get the correct answer, you perhaps used the wrong trigonometric ratio. We should have used cosine. In addition to using cosine, you would have recognized that your unknown or your variable is in the denominator. When your variable is in the denominator, you end up dividing your trigonometric ratio, all right? Like I said, I'm not going to go in depth into it because I have this planned in the lesson. All right, give me the answer for question 10. I apologize for incorrect numbering. That's when you copy and paste from the internet. What is R, guys? Remember, we're rounding to the nearest 10. Let me see your responses, please. What's R? Yes, we're using tan, sin, and cosine. All right, only one person answered me. Are we still working? All right, so far I've only seen one correct answer. I think we are still getting a bit confused with the ratio and how to substitute. So again, like I said, I'm going to go over this slowly today. Rakisha, I got to go back and see what you told me, what answer you sent. No, that's not correct. That's not correct. Guys, remember you're supposed to be making sure that your calculator is in degree mode. Your calculator, I was talking to Rakisha Elizabeth. You have to make sure that your calculator is in degree mode. Remember, our calculators must be in degree mode. So I'm not sure if you're getting the incorrect answer because your calculators are not in degree mode or if you are substituting incorrectly. All right, so I'm going to pull up the correct answer. And that perhaps will help you to find out what you did wrong. R is 4.8 centimeters. We're rounding to the nearest tenth. Tenth means 1 decimal place. We would have reviewed this last week. I'm not certain how many of you remembered. I'm going to label again so you guys can see what trigonometric ratio we should have used. So we have hypotenuse, that's opposite, and that's adjacent. All right, so what trigonometric ratio should we use? Let me know. Good, Rakisha, that's correct. That's correct, Tarina. Very good, Olivia. Excellent, Ashante. Keep it going. Good, Britannia. Good, Elizabeth. Good, Korea. Good. All right, so we should have used the tangent ratio. When you substituted, guys, where did your variable go? At the top or at the bottom? Yes, I can see that, Elton. Yes, we can see it. You're not talking into dead air. Good. So it should have gone to the top. All right. So I'm going to review just to clear up any issues that we have. Okay. All right. So trigonometric ratios. I decided to put the names of the panelists in the the names of the panelists, and aka the other teachers in my just my introductory slide. Ms. Penn, I apologize. I am going to add you for the next lesson. So we are going to review how to use trigonometric ratios to calculate the length of a side of a right angle triangle. And hopefully we have time today use trigonometric ratios to calculate the size of an angle in a right angle triangle. If we have time today. So this is our review. All right. Finding a side from a triangle. First things first, guys. Let's pull up our trigonometric ratios. What are they? Give me that phrase that we use for the trigonometric ratios. I want to write it on, but I want to see if you remember. Good, Elizabeth. Good, Rakia. Good, 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 Rakisha. Very good, Valia. Hi, Clinton. Good, Nathan. Excellent. All right, so it's SOHCAHTOA. I'm not sure if I have it on this slide. I'm going to write it at the bottom. Ready? Let me type it because that'll probably be quicker. All right, so that means sine of theta is equal to opposite over hypotenuse. Cosine of theta is equal to adjacent over hypotenuse, and tangent of theta is equal to opposite over adjacent. All right, so to find a missing side from a right angle triangle, we need to know one angle and one other side if we're using trigonometric ratios, okay? So let's consider if we had this scenario. Cosine of 45 is equal to x over 13. 45 represents my angle, all right? And 13 represents a side. So we just substitute it, okay? I just want you to see the steps. So yesterday or Tuesday, perhaps, I said we can use cross multiplication. That's one method. For those students who didn't quite understand cross multiplication, I decided to show you an alternative method, which would be using opposite operation, like I said, that I use to solve equations. So it says to leave x on its own, we need to move the divide 13 by performing the opposite operation on the opposite side. What's the opposite of divide 13, guys? Very good, Cecil. Waiting on you to respond. What's the opposite of divide 13? Very good, Rakia. Good, Elizabeth. For those of you who are in the chat and not responding, come on, guys. I need you to respond to me. This is my way of basically understanding what you understand. Good. So the opposite would be to multiply, right? Opposite of divide 13 is multiply 13. And you're going to do that on the opposite side. So that's going to end up where cosine 45 is. So we say cosine 45 times 13 will give me x. I'm hoping that's what you guys did for the last one. All right, so let's consider this scenario here. Question 1. We have to find k. The first thing we need to do is we need to do what? Tell me what's the first thing we need to do. Good, very good. The first thing we need to do, guys, is we need to identify our sides and label. All right, so 7 represents the hypotenuse. What's K? What side is K? Good, Sebastian. Not quite, Clinton. Good, good, good. K is the adjacent side. All right. I don't think this has an L. Which trigonometric ratio? So second thing now. Sorry. Second thing. So we labeled what's step 2. What's step 2? Very good, Olivia. You're correct. Lachey, yes, we did miss the opposite side. I don't think they put it in there because it's not necessary. But Shaquania, good, 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 very good, excellent. So we need to pick which trigonometric ratio we're going to use. Which trigonometric ratio uses A and H? Cosine, good. All right, Joanne, I need you to go to Q&A. Good, so we're using the cosine ratio. What's the next thing we need to do? We determined 1, we labeled. 2, we identified our trigonometric ratio. What's the next thing now? What are you going to do next? Shaquania, before we substitute, we need to do something else. What are you substituting in? Good, Lachey. What are you substituting into? Good, Clinton. All right, taking a little long. We're going to substitute into our formula. So you start by writing your formula. So there's my formula, cosine of A, and A represents my angle. We learned to use theta. They're using A in this, and I didn't want to change it because I want you to be comfortable with different forms of, the formula. So cosine of theta is equal to A over H. Next step. What's the next thing? Now you come in your corner. What do we do next? Good, Sebastian. Good. So the next step would be to substitute. We're now going to replace A, which is our angle, with the value of the angle. What is the value of the angle? I'm going slowly through this, guys, because I want to make sure that you get this. All right, good. So my angle is 30. Good. A, what is A? What goes in place of A for the adjacent side? What goes there? Sebastian, I could use the letter they gave me. All right, so K should go there, and what goes where H is? Good, good. All right, for those of you who need me to explain, A represents my adjacent side. So I'm going to put whatever letter or marking or number is there. And in this case, that would be K. Hypotenuse represents my hypotenuse, what I labeled hypotenuse. I'm going to put whatever letter or number is there, and that would be 7. Okay? So that's how I get the K over 7. All right? Good. Next step now. I'm solving for K. Like I said, we can do the cross multiplication, but this PowerPoint doesn't have that because I wanted to show you an alternative method. I want to get rid of the divide 7. I'm going to do the opposite of divide 7, which will be multiply 7. Now, cos 30. Sebastian, that's a good point. Some teachers teach their students to work out what is the cosine of 30. I don't teach that. I just tell my kids to put in the calculator. You don't need to write it down. I don't know if I'm right or wrong. Perhaps one of the panelists can tell me, but that's just not what I do, okay? I teach my kids to leave it as is because I fear that when they start working with all those digits, they sometimes mix them up. So I say leave the cosine 30, don't work it out yet. So the next thing would be to get rid of the 7. So we're going to do the opposite of divide 7 on the opposite side, okay? Opposite of divide 7 on the opposite side would be multiply 7. So cos 30 times 7. Rayshante, you have to put, now let's talk about our calculators. Again, I think calculator use is important. In your calculator, if you have a big screen calculator, you put in, no guys, I see the error now. You put in cosine 30 and then you put times 7. You have to press cos, okay? You have to press cos 30 times 7. If you have a small screen calculator, you put in 30, then you press the cosine button, then you press times 7. All right. So this is rounded to the nearest tenth. Nearest tenth means 1 decimal place, and that answer is 6.1 centimeters, all right? 6.1 centimeters. I'm going to move to the next slide. I hope that helped the new people in here. Please tell me if that helped you. Did that help the new people in here? Please tell me, new people, did that help? Good, good, all right. Now, sometimes our unknown letter is on the bottom of our fraction after we substitute. In this situation, we have cosine 45 is equal to 13 over u. I can't make u the subject while it's at the bottom there. I can't, okay? That's like you trying to, I need to get rid of the 13. Remember, our aim is always to just try to get rid of what's on that side of the equal sign. I can't get to 13 with that u down there. That's like me trying to get something from the second level of my home, and I'm on the first level. I gotta get up to, I'll get up there. The only way I'm gonna get up to 13 is by me getting rid of the u, okay? How do I make u the subject? I gotta get u from where it is. It's in a really uncomfortable, unnecessary position, okay? So I'm going to perform the opposite operation on the opposite side. So I'm going to get u from where it is. U, it's divide u. So when I write u again, it's going to be multiply u. Okay? So I said opposite operation, opposite side. Now u is in a better place. I need now to get rid of the cosine 45. Lachey, you are right. You are right. Okay? I'm going to get there. Cosine 45, it's multiplication. Opposite of multiplication, division. And it says to leave u on its own, I'm going to divide by cosine 45. All right? So that's what happens. This situation only happens, guys, when your unknown is in the bottom. And it's in the bottom of your fraction. Okay? All right. What can we take from this? Simply, when the unknown letter is on the bottom of your fraction, you just simply let it swap places with your sine, cosine, or tangent. So let's watch it. U is at the bottom. Let me put my spotlight on. U is at the bottom, right? Cosine 45 is here. I'm going to let them switch places. When I let them switch places, U goes where cos 45 was. Cos 45 goes where U was. All right? Make sense? Hello? Make sense? Okay, good. All right, good. So let's look at some more examples. So there's my scenario. Step 1 again, I'm going to labeling. I recognize that I have A and H. So I'm going to use the ratio that uses A and H would be cosine. I go ahead, I write it out. Then I do what? I substitute, I replace. When I replace, I recognize that X is at the bottom. When your unknown is at the bottom, you let them switch places. Let's swap. Good. Did that. All right. Then I divide. How do you enter this in your calculator? You press 5. Those of you who have a big screen calculator, and then you press the cosine of 5 divided by cosine 30, and you should get 5.8. All right, another scenario. Step 1, I'm going to label. When I label, I have hypotenuse and opposite, okay? Which trigonometric ratio uses opposite and hypotenuse? Sine. I go ahead and I substitute. Good. When I substitute, I recognize that M is at the bottom. When M is at the bottom, I'm going to let M and sine 25 switch places. A is divided by sine of 25. M is equal to 18.9. Tell me what kind of calculator you have, Rudolph, okay? Any questions, guys, with this? Just a recap. When X is at the top, I multiply. When X is at the bottom, I divide. Any questions with this? Can you please respond to me? Rudolph, tell me what kind of calculator you have. No, tell me the name. Okay. All right. So for my kids who have small calculators, here's what you do. You're listening, right? You put in 8, then you press divide. Then you press 25, and then you press sine, and then you press equal. Okay? I'm going to say it again. 8, then you press divide. Then you press 25, then you press sine. Then you press equal. Got it? Yeah, you have to do it like that too, Rudolph. You have to press 8, then 25, then sine, then equal. Because that works in the reverse, the one on the computer. Got it? Yes. Thank you, John, for answering me. Somebody answering me. Thank you. Okay, good. I'm glad I cleared that up for you, Elton. Good. Very good. All right, let's move on. Now, today's lesson. We're going to use our ratio to find angles. Trigonometric ratios are used to find angles or sides. How do you know when to use trig ratios or Pythagorean theorem? Pythagorean theorem won't talk about angles at all, okay? When you see an angle, that's how you know you're dealing with trigonometric ratios. All right, so we already know scientific calculators hold the ratio information for sine, cosine, and tangent of all angles. We know that. We can use our ratios to find the reverse, I can't see what it says, angle from a ratio. To do this, we use the sine inverse key, the cosine inverse key, and the tangent inverse key. We did this last lesson, but for those persons who are new to us, I brought it up again. And I brought up the calculators. When I say a big screen calculator, guys, I mean your calculator looks like this. That's a Casio, right? And that is a big screen calculator, okay? Because it shows you 2 lines of stuff. When I say small screen calculators, I'm talking about the calculator, the Texas Instrument at the bottom. That's a small screen calculator. Your working has to go in differently depending on the calculator that you have, okay? Now, if I need to find angle X, I'm solving. Remember I said to you, when you're solving, you're performing the opposite operation on the opposite side. In order for me to get rid of the sign, I have to do the inverse on the opposite side. So sine's opposite would be sine inverse, right? So that's what that means. Sine inverse of 0.1115. I want you to put in your calculator. What do you do? If you have a calculator that looks like the Casio, Canon has calculators that look like this on Texas. So some Texas look like the Casio and the Canon and the Helix. They all look like this, okay? Double screen. Yes, Dijon. It's going to be considered a big screen. You're going to press the shift button first. After you press the shift button, you're going to press your sign button. When you press your sign button, sign -1 is going to come on your screen. Then you're going to put in 0.1115 and then press equal. All right? If you have a little screen calculator, and I'm sorry guys that I didn't put it up bigger, like a Texas, I think mostly Texas look like this. You're going to press the second, you're not going to press the second function button, sorry, first. You're going to put in 0.1115. Then you're going to press second function. Then you're going to press the sign button. Then you're going to press equal. I want everybody to do that before I pull up what the answer is. So I need to explain it again for the small screen calculators. Everybody put it up and tell me what you get, please. I think they have these answers rounded to 1 decimal place. All right, Sylvian, tell me what kind of calculator you have, please. Cecil, tell me what, okay, Cecil, I think you tell me you're working on your computer. You're doing the inverse, Cecil. You're going to put in 0.1115, and then you're going to press second function, and then you're going to press the sign. Okay, Sylvian, you're going to press, I think your calculator may be in the wrong mode. Check and see if you have degree at the top. Everybody else, come on. There's 80 something. How many? There's 79 of you in here. I should see at least 70 responses. Check and make sure that your calculator, round to 1 TP, guys. Check and make sure your calculator's in degree. You see degree at the top. Thank you, Lorana. Thank you, Arlington. All right, Alicia. You need to check your calculator. See if it's in degree mode, and then also tell me what calculator you're using. Good. All right. So, John, I think I forgot what you told me. So let me just pull this up. Again, they say shift and then sign, and then x is equal to 0.11. I mean, x is equal to that, 6.4 degrees. All right, guys, let's go ahead and do the second one. Again, you're doing it to 1 decimal place. Those persons who didn't get 6.4, I need to go over this with you. Britannia, tell me if you have a calculator in front of you, and if you don't have it, what kind of calculator you're using. I can only help you if I know what kind of calculator you're using. Is it small screen or big screen, Alicia? Okay, so you should be doing shift, sign, and then put in the numbers. You're rounding Lachey to 1 decimal place. Yes. Shift, 1 decimal place, Korea. Shift, sign, and then put in the numbers. Good. Samuel, let me see your answer, please. All right, so let's pull this up. So that is 0.8998. No, 0.8988. And I want to do second function. That's cosine. Yeah, 25.99999 turns to 26.0. Okay? That should be 26.0. All right, I think I cleared up the calculator issue. I recognize last lesson that we had a challenge with that, and I wanted to just show you hands-on how to do it. I'm hoping that you guys are more comfortable with using the calculator now. Yes, Sebastian, you're using the inverse. Yes, you're using the inverse when you are finding a calculator. Finding an angle from a triangle. So, to find a missing angle from a right angle triangle, we need to know 2 of the sides of the triangle. And then we're going to choose the appropriate ratio, and then we're going to use our calculator to identify the angle. All right, so they're asking me to find this angle, right? We are finding angle C. We are finding angle C. I want to say that again. They're asking me to find my reference angle. So for those students, like Sebastian asked a good question. He said, Ms. Knowles, how do you know when you're using the inverse or the regular one? You use the inverse to find an angle, and you use the regular one to find, you're using the regular one to find a side. I'll repeat it. You use the regular one to find a side, and you use the inverse to find an angle. Let me say it again. You use the regular one to find a side, and you use the inverse to find an angle. C is my reference angle. I'm finding C. So first step would be label. Identify or label the sides. So I think it's going to come up in the next slide. So and what I'm noticing they're doing in this lesson, which is pretty good, guys, is they only labeling the sides that are important to them. And I think that helps you with really being able to identify which trigonometric ratio you should be using. So they're only going to label A and H. So tell me, which trigonometric ratio are they going to use? What trigonometric ratio are they going to use? Waiting on the rest of you. All right, good. They're going to use cosine. Remember, when we find our ratio, we write it out. We write out cosine of, and that should have been theta is equal to A over H. Now we're going to substitute. We're going to say cosine of C. Where did I get C from? C is the angle. The adjacent side is 6, and the hypotenuse is 14, okay? So that's 6 over 14. Now, let me say this again. The next line, I do not teach. I intentionally left it in here because there are some teachers who teach this method. I don't like my students to write a lot of numbers because I figure that they get confused. They're going to write down what is 6 divided by 14 in the next line. You don't have to do that step. You do not have to do that step, okay? You can go straight ahead and do the 6 divided by 14, and I'm going to show you how to do it. I'm going to see if I can pull up the calculator again in this for you. So they're going to say C is equal to, and they divide it. Like I said, you don't have to do this step. If you do, guys, I want you to know that you have to write it to 4 decimal places. That's mandatory. If you divide, it must be the 4 decimal places. They go ahead now and they're solving for C. So because we're solving for C, we're going to do the inverse, the opposite. So we're going to say that C is equal to the cosine inverse of this value. Now, what if I don't divide? Small screen calculators first. And I should have a calculator on the screen. I'm going to put in small screen, big screen calculators first. I'm going to put in second function, cosine. A bracket is going to come up. That after the bracket comes up, you're going to press 6, divide 14, close the bracket. Okay? So y'all need me to pull up the calculator. Y'all good with me explaining. Let me know, please. All right, I see some persons already telling me what they get. Small screen calculator. Okay, small screen calculators. You're going to do 6, divide 14, and then you're going to press shift and then cosine. Should I say it again? Small screen calculators. 6, divide 14, and then shift and then cosine. They are going to give you the formula, Sebastian, but it's just good for you to know them. It's important for you to know them. All right, so let's pull up the answer. Very good for those of you who got 64.6. So it seems as if we got that down. Good. Perfect. Ashante, tell me what kind of calculator you have, please. Okay, you got it. All right, good. All right, let's move to the next example, guys. I think there's one more example in here. So we're finding angle X. We're going to do first, we're going to label. All right. When we label, we recognize that we have what 2 sides, adjacent and opposite. What trigonometric ratio are we going to use? Good. We're going to use tangent. We're going to write it out. Next step, substitute. Good. Tangent of X is equal to 8 divided by 3. Yes, you can have an improper fraction, okay? You're going to replace what you see. On the opposite side, 8 is there, so you're going to put 8 there first, okay? On the adjacent side, 3 is there, so you're going to put 3 where adjacent should be. So be careful with that. What's the next step? We're now solving for X. Like I said in this PowerPoint, they divided. You don't have to. So we're going to go straight to this line. X is equal to the tangent inverse of 8 divided by 3. I want you to go ahead and do that. Go ahead and do that for me, please. All right, we're getting a lot of good responses. 69.4 is correct. Very good. All right, so let's move to the practice, guys. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Good. This is good. I'm happy that you guys are getting it. Oh, there's one more example. This is the last example. Yes. A lot of you, Sebastian, there's always homework. I put it in the, when I send your result, when I set your resources there, just, I think I need to go on the page because I really don't go back on the page, but I'm assuming that there's a resource tab or button that you can press and it takes you to that website. I like the Big Brain website because you can enter your answer and it can tell you if you're right or wrong. Make sure you put degrees, guys. Remember we had this conversation about units. Units are extremely important. You need to put degrees because we're finding an angle and angles are measured in degrees. All right, so they didn't label. I'm gonna label because they didn't label. I want you to do this all on your own. Wrong one. Wow, Elizabeth. Wow. Let's see if you're right. You're doing this all on your own. You're giving me your answers. Valia, what is the unit? Tell me the unit, please. No, I want you to do the whole question, Sebastian. You don't need to give me the ratio. You're doing the whole question. Ramon, it's an angle. What do we measure angles with? What unit do we use to measure angles? Ashante, put the unit, please. Guys, give me the unit, please. Give me the unit. Unit means centimeters, meters, 56.4 cents, $56.4. What is it? A lot of you getting the units wrong. It's not centimeters. It cannot be centimeters, okay? All right, so for those persons who don't quite get it, we start with our ratio. Our ratio is a sine ratio. And then we have, good, and then we have O over H. We're going to substitute or replace. I don't know why they have X there. That should have been Y. I'm sorry, guys, I missed that. And it should be, the opposite side is 10, and the hypotenuse is 12, okay? We are solving, remember, we're skipping this step if we need to, and we say X is equal to the sine inverse of 10 over 12. X is equal to 56.4 degrees. 56.4 degrees. Notice I have my units. Thank you, guys. I'm sorry I'm not responding in the group, but thank you, guys. Thank you, Miss Mackley. Thank you, Miss Newbold, and thank you, Mr. Hall. I recognize that was an issue. All right. So I'm just gonna pull up and let you do one more because we are about to end. I'm sorry that you can barely see the link, but there's a link in here to the web page. So let me just come out quickly. You can use any one, Elizabeth, doesn't matter. Again, for those of you who asked for homework, this link, I can also put this link in the chat. Let me do that too. I'm gonna put the link in the chat. If you click the link, guys, and it doesn't work, you just need to copy and paste it from the chat into your web, okay? I think this web page doesn't work, however, with Microsoft Explorer. It only works, I think, with Google Chrome. That's the only issue you may have. I want you, while you're waiting on me to put in the chat, I want you to do question 1. We're only going to do question 1 today. All right, so I sent it out. Remember, I said if it doesn't work by clicking the link, and I don't think the hyperlink works, you just need to copy and paste it into your web browser. Remember, you were supposed to be doing, no, they said round 2 decimal places. You're supposed to be doing question 1, everybody. You're rounding to 2 decimal places. Sebastian, you didn't press the inverse. All right, let me see some responses, please. Come on, let me see responses, please. So this is the opposite side, and this is the adjacent side. This is the hypotenuse, but I'm not going to label that. Which trigonometric ratio uses O and A? Tangents. I'm going to start with the tangent function. Tangent of theta is equal to O over A. Next step, I'm going to replace tangent of the tangent of theta, because I don't know what the angle is, they call it theta, is equal to 8 over 12. Theta now is equal to the tangent inverse of 8 over 12. And I'm going to put that in my calculator. So I'm going to do, I'm using my phone, 8 divided by 12. And then I'm going to press second function and then tan inverse. And I am getting theta is equal to 33.69 degrees. Remember, the question asks us to round the 2 decimal places. So I see that some persons got it correct while others may have used the wrong ratio or may have substituted incorrectly. Guys, please, 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 please work on this page for your homework, because tomorrow I want us to move into another concept, okay? So I'm going to come out of here. Again, for those persons who want to know how to use the link that I sent into the chat, you can copy and paste the link. When you paste it, it's going to say from LaShanta Knowles, delete everything that comes before HTTP, and then you press enter, and it should take you to the page. And that is correct. Always read the instructions before you attempt the questions. The instructions basically tell you what to do. All right, so wrapping up now, our summary. Today we went over how to find an angle and how to find a side. This is a slide with the labeling and what the trigonometric ratios are. When we are finding a side, what are we given? Here it is, Sebastian. You can take a picture. This was intentional. When we're finding a side, what are we given? Waiting on you to respond to me, guys. When we're finding a side, what are we given? Lachey is not going to come up. You have to search for it. You have to search into geometry and measure, scroll up and click on right angle triangle, finding an angle. We're given an angle and one more thing, Ricky and Ramon. What's the next thing? We know Ricky. All right, so when we're finding a side, guys, we're given an angle and a side, okay? We're given one angle and one side, all right? And that angle is not the right angle, it's a reference angle. When we are given 2 sides, we are finding the angle, okay? Again, we use the regular sine, cosine, tangent when we're finding a side. When we are finding an angle, we use sine inverse, cosine inverse, and tangent inverse, all right? That is it for today's lesson. I hope that I cleared up a lot of, misconceptions or misunderstandings that you guys may have had. Thank you again for being such active participants. You will see me tomorrow's lesson. Be safe, guys, and take care, okay? Have a good evening.
It is normal to feel overwhelmed, lonely, scared, or sad during a crisis. Coping can be difficult when your daily schedule is interrupted. Drinking may feel good, but is not the best way to cope with stress. It can worsen your mental and physical health and impact your family. So how can you cope? Keep physically active, like taking a walk or dancing. Cook and eat nutritious food, including fruits and vegetables. Engage in indoor activities like playing games and staying connected with family and friends. Meditate, encourage yourself, or enjoy music. Still feeling overwhelmed? We are here to listen. This message is brought to you by these partners.
Successful parenting through COVID-19. Being at home with your child for a long time can feel stressful, especially when they misbehave. Children can also feel stressed as their daily routines have changed. Manage negative behavior through creating schedules, planning indoor activities and outdoor activities, giving responsibilities, and rewarding good behavior. All children can be mischievous. You can discipline without yelling or physically harming by giving timeouts, taking away privileges, and even giving chores. It's okay to take a break. Pause for 10 seconds, breathe for 5 seconds, then give a calm response. Listen to your children's feelings and be supportive. Avoid unhealthy behaviors like drinking alcohol, smoking tobacco, or risky sexual behavior. Feeling overwhelmed? Contact our hotline at 819-7652 or any of the numbers that appear on your screen.
Depression among older people is common. It is often overlooked. Loneliness and loss of independence are causes. Depression can be treated. The first step is talking.